if I ever, and I mean ever, hand my younger sibling a literal itemized corporate-style list of demands for my wedding while actively plotting to forfeit a non-refundable venue deposit 6 months before the big day, I want you to commit me.
Oh, I wouldn't just commit you. I would personally pack your bags, sign the involuntary psychiatric hold paperwork, and ensure you didn't have access to a Pinterest board for at least a decade.
Like, put me in a facility,
Yeah.
take away my phone, cancel my Wi-Fi, do whatever it takes to separate me from society. Because at that point, the delusion has fully taken over and I am no longer a safe person to be around.
Because what we witnessed this week isn't just bridezilla behavior, it is the absolute, unchecked weaponization of the wedding industrial complex. I mean, it's someone using a white dress as a shield to act like a domestic terrorist.
Babes, we've been waiting for you. Snark Squad, unite.
Assemble, queens, the chaos is calling.
Babes, tonight we are channeling our inner baddies.
Yeah.
And yes, babes, the Negronis are on deck.
They absolutely are.
We are fully leaning into the vibe today, and I just have to say, there is something about a Negroni that immediately and violently shifts your entire personality.
Yeah.
Like, I take one sip of this incredibly bitter, aggressive little orange drink, and suddenly I feel intimidating.
Right. It's the botanical bitter profile. It fundamentally rewires your brain chemistry the moment it hits your palate.
For absolutely no reason. I am sitting here in sweatpants, my hair's in a messy bun, but in my mind, I am a mysterious, sophisticated adult who has dangerous secrets.
Exactly. I mean, if you drink a vodka cranberry, you're just a person at a loud bar having a drink.
Yeah.
But you hold a Negroni, and suddenly you're speaking in a lower register. You're giving extremely vague, evasive answers to direct questions.
Yes, you feel like you belong in a moody, dramatic European indie movie. Like you're a glamorous widow in Milan wearing a giant black sun hat, and your rich, terrible 80-year-old husband just died under highly suspicious circumstances on a yacht.
I literally caught myself looking out the window earlier today, staring into the middle distance, aggressively plotting a hostile takeover of a logistics company I don't even work for. You just feel like a cinematic villain with highly threatening offshore business investments.
And the detective is questioning you, but you're just slowly swirling your Negroni, maintaining unbroken eye contact and saying, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, Inspector.
It's a complete detachment from reality.
It makes me completely emotionally unavailable after exactly 2 sips. My empathy, gone.
Yeah,
replaced by pure, unadulterated snark, which is a problem because usually I am such an emotional sponge.
Which is exactly the ruthless, detached energy we need to tackle the absolute mess of the Dupree Dooley wedding today. But before we get into the reality TV trauma, we need to address some real-life trauma.
Oh boy, here we go.
Because, Snark Squad, we have to talk about lying for a minute.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We do. I feel so exposed already.
Because one of us, and I won't specify who, though the audience will figure it out, immediately admitted off camera earlier today, that sometimes we lie to our friends for literally no reason.
Okay, look, listen to me.
Just completely fabricated, pointlessly dramatic, unprovoked lies.
I am a deeply emotional being, okay? And sometimes the primary emotion I'm feeling is sheer, absolute, paralyzing panic at the thought of leaving my physical house.
Right, the agoraphobia era.
And yes, babes, I confess to you and the Snark Squad right now.
Yeah.
I will tell the most elaborate, structurally complex lies to avoid a minor social obligation. If a friend texts me on a Tuesday and says, hey, do you want to grab a quick coffee in an hour? I cannot just say, no, I'm tired. I will say, oh my God, babes, I am literally at the airport right now.
The airport? You live 45 minutes from the airport.
I know.
Do you understand the sheer logistical weight of that lie? It is staggering. If they check your location on Find My Friends, you are doomed.
Turn my location off. I do.
If they ask where you're flying, you have to invent an entire itinerary. You have to invent a destination, a purpose, a packing list. You are building an entire fictional cinematic universe just to avoid a $6 oat milk latte.
And I will commit to the bit. I will double down. I will say, my aunt in Chicago is having an emergency.
You do not have an aunt in Chicago.
Do I have an aunt in Chicago? No. I don't even know anyone in Illinois. But in that moment, she is real to me. Her emergency is valid. And I cannot possibly get coffee.
It is genuinely unhinged.
Or if extended family wants me to visit for the weekend. Sorry, babes, the show schedule is insane this week. We are reporting for 72 hours straight. The producers are breathing down my neck.
Meanwhile, what are you actually doing?
I am fully horizontal on my couch, wrapped in a weighted blanket, watching TLC and eating shredded mozzarella cheese straight from the plastic bag.
It is the psychology of the pointless lie that fascinates me. We all do it, but why? Adulthood is just a series of tiny fake emergencies that we invent because the emotional exhaustion of socializing is too damn high.
Exactly. It's self-preservation.
Mm.
If I say I'm tired, people say, oh, coffee will wake you up. But you can't argue with an imaginary aunt in Chicago.
Society has somehow collectively decided that, I just want to stare at my ceiling fan in silence for 3 hours is not a socially acceptable excuse to cancel plans.
Yeah.
We feel like we need trauma, we need drama, we need an excuse that cannot be argued with.
Okay, so don't just put me in the hot seat. What is the most chaotic, unhinged lie you have ever told for a mundane situation? Reveal your dark truth to the Snark squad.
Oh, I have zero shame about this. I was on a date a few years ago. The vibe was atrocious. The person was explaining the blockchain and cryptocurrency to me, completely unprompted, I might add.
Oh no, not the crypto bro.
And I could feel my soul physically detaching from my body and floating up to the restaurant ceiling. So instead of just being an adult and saying, hey, I don't think this is a match, I'm going to head home.
Which would be the normal thing to do.
I faked a massive career-ending corporate crisis, picked up my phone, looked at a blank lock screen, gasped audibly like a full theatrical gasp, and whispered, the servers are down. The entire database is compromised.
I am screaming.
I told him I have to get to the office right now or the company is going under. I literally threw a $20 bill on the table and sprinted out of the restaurant.
Wait, you sprinted. You actually ran.
I ran down the block. And here's the kicker. I don't even work in IT. I don't know what a server does. I couldn't code my way out of a paper bag.
That is sociopathic. It really is.
But I fully committed to being a high-stakes corporate hacker for 5 minutes just to escape a conversation about Bitcoin.
I've also...
Yeah.
Incredibly chic. It's giving action movie. I respect the hustle. My worst one, which makes me feel like a garbage human, was when I was invited to a Sunday brunch that I deeply, on a cellular level, did not want to attend.
Brunches are exhausting.
I didn't want to put on hard pants like jeans. I didn't want to pay $22 for mediocre scrambled eggs. So I told the group chat that I had contracted a highly contagious, mysterious stomach bug, and I was currently tethered to my bathroom floor.
A classic maneuver. The gastrointestinal excuse is the ultimate shield because no one asks follow-up questions.
Exactly. But I took it too far. I painted such a graphic, horrific picture of my symptoms that my friends were genuinely worried. People were offering to drive over and drop off Pedialyte and saltines.
Oh, you trapped yourself.
I had to then lie again and say, no, please stay away. I am practically radioactive. I don't want to infect you. Meanwhile, I was actually in my softest pajamas ordering a massive platter of delivery sushi and watching a Bravo reality TV marathon.
The fact that you ordered raw fish while actively claiming to have a severe stomach bug is the most chaotic, hubristic part of that entire story.
I wanted a spicy tuna roll.
The universe should have struck you down right then and there. But we have to debate this. Is this harmless survival, or are we secretly toxic individuals?
I firmly believe it is survival. Think about it.
Because on one hand, we are fiercely protecting our peace and our social batteries. On the other hand, we are pathological liars weaving webs of deceit over Eggs Benedict.
If we told the truth, if we just looked our friends in the eye and said, I don't want to see you today because I find your energy incredibly draining right now and I'd rather hang out with my dogs, that would cause real irreparable damage to the relationship.
I mean, sure, it would sting.
The lie is an act of love. The lie preserves the friendship. We are taking on the karmic debt of lying to protect their feelings.
See, I completely disagree with that framing. That is an incredibly warped, self-serving justification.
How's it worked?
It's not an act of love. It's social cowardice. We lie because we don't want to deal with the discomfort of their reaction. We don't want to manage their disappointment. It's social lubrication, yes, but let's not pretend we are martyrs for faking diarrhea to eat spicy tuna rolls.
Well, okay. Just call me out then. But you know what? We are just complex people. Honestly, though, despite our toxic traits, today has been such a good day. It really has. We went to Cactus Club earlier. We had the most incredible food. We had these Negronis. The lighting in here is perfect. The vibes are weirdly amazing right now.
Almost too good.
It's almost too good. Maybe Mercury is in retrograde, or maybe it's finally out of retrograde. I literally never know how planets work. But, babes, this is the life.
It is the life. But you know exactly what happens in the human brain when you have a genuinely good, frictionless, random day.
You panic.
It feels highly suspicious. I'm sitting there at Cactus Club. The ambiance is immaculate. The appetizers arrive hot. No one at the adjacent tables is annoying me. And my immediate, involuntary first thought is, what terrible tragedy is currently hurtling toward me?
Yes. The suspicion is so real. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
We are so unaccustomed to simple, unproblematic moments that we cannot even romanticize them without a baseline level of paranoia.
But there is also something so profoundly magical about how good food and a strong, bitter drink can literally patch up your emotional damage. Like, I came into today feeling a little stressed, a little overwhelmed by life and emails.
Which is your baseline.
It is.
Yeah.
And then I ate a perfectly seasoned slider, took a sip of a Negroni, and my brain was like, actually, the world is a beautiful place. You are healed. Nothing can touch you.
Yes, but let's be clinically accurate here. You are emotionally healed for exactly 3 to 5 business hours. It is a chemical illusion.
Let me have my illusion.
The moment the botanical buzz wears off and you get an urgent email from a guy named Greg asking to, quote, circle back on a project you forgot about, the existential dread comes rushing right back in. It is a temporary Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Let me live in my 3 hours of delusional peace.
Yeah.
But speaking of peace and avoiding conflict and lying to our friends, it brings up a huge debate I wanted to have with you before we get into the TV drama.
All right, what's the debate?
Are either of us yes men? Because I was really reflecting on this today. Do we just blindly agree to things to survive social interactions?
I definitely don't.
Because I have to confess, I am sometimes just too emotional and too desperate for approval to say no in the moment. I am such a chronic people pleaser.
You really are. It's painful to watch sometimes.
I will look someone dead in the eye, feel my stomach churning with absolute dread, and still hear myself saying, yes, absolutely, I would love to help you move your sectional couch up 3 flights of stairs on a Sunday morning, and that I will go home, sit in my car, and cry.
See, I'm the exact opposite in the moment, but the psychological result is basically the same. I am not a yes man. I will absolutely say no to someone's face.
You are ruthless with boundaries.
I will draw a firm, unyielding boundary. I will look at them and say, no, I am not helping you move. I am in my 30s, higher task rabbits. And for about 10 seconds, I feel so powerful, so assertive, like I am the CEO of my own life.
And then what happens?
And then the very second they walk away, I suffer from crushing, debilitating, suffocating guilt for 4 to 5 consecutive business days.
Oh my God, the guilt.
I will literally lie awake at night staring at the ceiling thinking, I am a monster, they are struggling with a sofa, and I am a selfish villain. I should have just said yes. So you suffer up front with the commitment, and I suffer on the back end with the guilt.
Exactly. Being too nice is secretly fake because you're resenting the person the entire time you're doing the favor. You're silently fuming while carrying that couch. But setting boundaries makes you feel like a clinical sociopath.
There is no winning in adult friendships.
Which actually perfectly, seamlessly transitions us into the absolute masterclass of people-pleasing, boundary stomping, and chaotic communication that is this week's chat about Baylen Out Loud.
Okay, babes, enough spiraling about our own toxic traits because we need to get into this episode. Season 3, Episode 2, Altered Plans.
Let me tell you, the plans were not just altered.
They were actively destroyed, set on fire, thrown into a ravine, and buried under a pile of pink Christmas tree ornaments.
Babes, this recap is going to take us completely out. Let's walk through this chronologically, but we have to take some massive detours because the Reddit tea is piping hot, my opinions are highly aggressive, and we need to unpack the actual psychology of these people.
Let's start with the Asheville back trip, the joint bachelor-bachelorette weekend. A concept that I, on a fundamental level, vehemently disagree with.
Same. It completely ruins the vibe.
If I'm getting married, I do not want to combine the parties. The entire point of a bachelor or bachelorette party is to complain about the other person and their friends. I want separate, distinct chaos.
But they decide to do a joint trip at a massive remote rental cabin in Asheville, North Carolina. Remote is the operative word here. We are talking deep in the woods.
And the episode opens with the guys in the kitchen. Brother Burke flew in all the way from Tampa, dealing with horrible connecting flight delays just to get there. Best man Austin is there.
The boys decide they're going to cook breakfast for the girls. They're making pancakes. And babes, the pancakes were raw. They were openly, on national television, admitting the pancakes were squishy.
Squishy. Let's pause on that word. The word squishy should never, under any circumstances, be applied to a baked good or a breakfast carbohydrate.
It makes my stomach turn.
They poured raw batter onto a barely warm griddle, let it lick at the heat for maybe 30 seconds, and then served this wet, gelatinous dough to these women. And what did the girls do?
They smile.
They sit there chewing this raw batter, forcing smiles and saying, oh, it's so good, guys. We're so grateful you cooked. Talk about being yes men. Spit it out. Demand a waffle.
This is exactly what I mean about women being conditioned to accept the bare minimum from men. The guys do one chore, completely fail at it, and the women have to emotionally manage them by pretending raw flour is delicious so their egos don't bruise.
It's exhausting.
But the real tragedy of this cabin trip wasn't the threat of salmonella from the pancakes. It was the glaring, highly dramatic absence of the maid of honor.
Right. Baylen's 19-year-old sister, Sammi, completely ghosted, fully did not show up.
Okay, we need to unpack the logistics of this ghosting, because I am going to defend Sammi right now. And I know you disagree with me, but hear me out.
I will listen, but I am already judging.
We have to bring in the Reddit context here, because a guest on this trip allegedly went online and complained that they received the concrete details for this remote cabin getaway literally 3 days prior.
3
days.
3 days. I mean, if you text me on a Tuesday and tell me I need to be at a cabin in the mountains of North Carolina on a Friday, I'm blocking your number.
We literally just spent 10 minutes talking about how I need a 3-week mental runway just to get a cup of coffee down the street.
Exactly. So now, put yourself in Sammi's shoes. She is 19 years old. 19? Her frontal lobe is years away from being fully developed. She has documented severe flying anxiety.
But she's the maid of honor.
And she is supposedly the maid of honor, which means she's implicitly expected to help orchestrate and manage this massive joint cabin trip 5+ hours away with 3 days of actual logistical notice. It is a profound setup for failure. It's an absolute nightmare scenario for an anxious teenager.
Okay, I hear you. The logistics are terrible. But Baylen is family. And Baylen is spiraling at the cabin. Because to her, it's the principle. My sister didn't show up for me. And I kind of get it.
You get it.
If you accept the title of maid of honor, you accept the job. Even with flying anxiety, even with 3 days' notice, a simple text saying, I'm having a panic attack and I can't make it, is basic decency. Ghosting is just immature.
She's 19. Immaturity is her right. But let's look at how Baylen handles it. Does she check on her sister's mental health? No. Baylen gets on FaceTime with Sammi.
Oh, this phone call.
And this phone call, babes, I had to pause my TV, take a lap around my living room, and do deep breathing exercises. Baylen doesn't just express that her feelings are hurt. She calls Sammi and literally reads her an itemized, bullet-pointed list of maid of honor duties.
Like, she's a corporate HR representative putting an underperforming mid-level manager on a strict performance improvement plan.
Here are your key deliverables for Q3, Sammi. She's giving her an auditory spreadsheet.
You must walk down the aisle before me. You must take my flowers at the altar. You are the middleman for all the bridesmaids.
Sammi is 19. She probably still needs her mom's help making a dentist appointment. And Baylen expects her to project manage a bridal party of women she doesn't even know.
I have to shout out Reddit user Bibdicator here because they hit the absolute nail on the head in the discussion threads. They went off calling out this whole traditional enslavement to a bride's whims.
That's exactly what it is. Enslavement.
They pointed out how the wedding industry has completely brainwashed women into behaving like literal toddlers the second they get a diamond ring. It convinces rational women that they are temporary royalty, and everyone around them must fulfill these deluded princess dreams at all costs.
And if you get even an ounce of pushback from a bridesmaid who has a life, a job, or anxiety, you whine, you cry, and you read them a syllabus of their failures. Why do we accept this behavior?
We absolutely don't see grooms doing this. Grooms don't hand their best men a printed syllabus of duties. Austin wasn't getting a lecture from Colin on the proper geometric angle to hold the wedding rings during the ceremony.
Never.
The wedding industrial complex turns completely normal, rational women into unyielding tyrants, and Baylen fell right into the trap. You could hear the absolute exhaustion and defeat in Sammi's voice on that call.
She's a teenager dealing with her own complex life, and suddenly she's thrust into this massive, highly televised logistical role for a wedding that is completely unorganized. I do not blame her for ghosting. I would have faked my own demise and moved to a new state.
Completely agree. Which brings us to the next major narrative thread of the episode. Colin's dark past and the infamous sports montage of doom.
Because while Baylen is busy terrorizing her teenage sister over floral arrangements, Colin sits down with his sister Colleen out on the cabin porch. And this conversation was genuinely, it completely shifted my entire perspective on him as a person.
It really was a stark, sudden pivot into absolute raw reality. We went from raw pancakes and petty drama to something incredibly heavy.
Colin talks about how much he appreciates his sister. He opens up and reveals that he had a really dark, difficult childhood. He talks about struggling deeply with his emotions, and he explicitly hints at severe suicidal ideation.
It was so heartbreaking.
He looks at her and says, If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be here today. He fully credits Colleen for pulling him back to reality and keeping him alive during those dark times. And he asks her to give a speech at the wedding, which she accepts, even though she visibly hates public speaking.
Babes, I was genuinely getting emotional watching this. I had tears in my eyes. Because suddenly, his entire personality makes perfect sense.
It really does.
It completely explains his infinite patience and his fierce, unyielding protectiveness over Baylen. Up until now, we've just seen Colin as this stoic, quiet, almost impossibly calm military guy. He's always the one grounding Baylen when her tics flare up or when she's having a massive anxiety spiral.
And now we know why.
He knows exactly what it feels like to struggle. He knows what it feels like to be lost, to feel like your own mind is a dark, terrifying place. He recognizes that profound vulnerability in Baylen, and he's actively choosing to be for her what Colleen was for him. It is beautiful.
It's incredible context. The Reddit users, like Beckage1964, were literally crying over this scene in the live thread, pointing out that enlisting in the Air Force probably saved his life, gave him structure, and gave him purpose.
It elevates him from just a quiet boyfriend to a deeply complex partner. You see the depth of his character and his resilience.
He is a strong, capable military man who has confronted and overcome the darkest parts of the human psyche.
And then the producers immediately, without hesitation, do him so incredibly dirty.
The whiplash, the absolute unhinged editing whiplash. We transition from this profound, tear-jerking, emotionally raw confession of human survival straight into a sports montage that feels actively designed to humiliate him on national television.
I was screaming at my screen. They show him attempting to play golf, and he absolutely whiffs it. He swings so hard, misses entirely, and the ball just bloops straight into the water hazard.
And then the scene cuts to D.C. They take him ice skating.
The D.C. Holiday Market Ice Rink. A truly tragic setting for a proud, capable man to meet his demise.
They show Colin, this active-duty United States Air Force serviceman, out on the ice, clinging for dear life to a plastic waist-high penguin designed for toddlers who are learning how to skate.
He is shuffling. He is struggling.
His ankles are bending in ways the human body shouldn't bend, and Baylen is just zooming past him, doing laps, leaving him in the frozen dust.
It is a phenomenon that requires rigorous sociological study. It truly is. How can a man endure rigorous military training obstacle courses, tactical survival drills, sleep deprivation, combat readiness, but get utterly, completely, and totally defeated by a pop-up holiday ice rink?
You can survive the harsh wilderness, but you cannot survive frozen water in a festive urban environment.
The plastic penguin really sent me over the edge. It was functioning as his emotional support animal on the ice. He looked terrified.
He literally said to the camera, if I was playing baseball right now, I'd be winning.
The pure, unadulterated male ego desperately trying to cope with the fact that he's being outperformed by 7-year-olds on the ice. It was high camp. It was hilarious. And Baylen is having the time of her life, completely ignoring his profound physical suffering.
But the holiday cheer doesn't last long, because this brings us to the next major disaster. The D.C. holiday market and the hot cocoa crisis.
Okay, so Baylen and her mom, Julie, are walking through this Christmas market. It's objectively beautiful. It's festive. There are lights everywhere. People are shopping.
But Baylen's tics are firing heavily.
She's getting overstimulated by the crowds and the holiday stuff. She sees a man dressed in a full Santa suit, and she is trying so hard to mask. You can see the physical effort of her trying to delay the tic until the person walks away, just to be polite.
It's palpable anxiety.
But the pressure builds,
Yeah.
the tic completely takes over, and she yells, "Ho, ho, ho, your ass back to the sleigh, you fat-ass bitch."
Which is, objectively speaking, an absolutely iconic line of dialogue. If someone yelled that at me while I was dressed as Santa, I would simply bow. It's poetry.
It's incredible, but you can tell she feels terrible about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go to a stall to get hot chocolate. She asks for extra whipped cream. The vendor hands her the cup, and immediately, without warning, she has a physical motor tic where her hands forcibly squeeze together.
The cup crushes. The hot chocolate just explodes.
It goes everywhere, all over her hands, all over the counter, all over the ground. It's sticky, it's boiling hot, it's an absolute mess.
And in public, that is a nightmare scenario for anyone. Spilling a drink in public is universally embarrassing, but for someone who already deals with intense social anxiety and the constant reality of people staring at her because of her tics, you can see the panic set in immediately. She freezes.
But then something amazing happens.
Yeah.
These strangers, just random people shopping at the market, immediately rush over to help.
They don't even hesitate.
They aren't staring. They aren't laughing.
Yeah.
They are pulling napkins out of their bags, offering baby wipes, helping her clean up the counter. They are so genuinely kind and completely unbothered by the chaos.
Right.
Later, Baylen actually starts crying in her confessional interview because she says she's so used to people laughing at her or filming her or being incredibly mean to her, both in the real world and in her social media comments. So for strangers to just offer basic, immediate compassion without hesitation, it really broke her down.
It was a very soft, profoundly human moment. It really drives home how exhausting it must be for her to navigate the world constantly bracing for cruelty. When your baseline expectation is that society will reject you, encountering basic human decency feels overwhelming.
I was crying again. I told you, I am an emotional wreck during this entire situation. I
Oh!
was sitting on my couch like, wow, maybe the world isn't entirely toxic. Maybe people are good.
Oh, but wait. Enter Mother Julie to swiftly restore the toxicity?
The pivot, the absolute psychological warfare.
I want to dissect the sheer, unadulterated chaos of Julie's timing here, because Baylen is having this highly vulnerable, emotional, slightly frazzled moment. She's literally recovering from a hot chocolate explosion. Her hands are still sticky. Her nervous system is completely fried.
And Julie looks at her daughter, assesses this delicate situation, and says to herself, you know what she needs right now in this exact moment? A massive, stress-inducing, world-shattering reality check about her wedding logistics.
She waits for the stickiness to barely be wiped off Baylen's hands. Say, hey, so by the way, Sammi didn't come to the back trip because the cabin venue was, quote, in bump.
And then Julie twists the knife. She says, you know, the actual wedding venue you chose, the one we've paid a massive deposit for, and is also incredibly isolated. It's 2.5 hours from an international airport. It requires shuttling guests up a mountain. Do you think people won't show up to your wedding either?
It is the absolute worst conceivable time to have that conversation. What is the strategy there? Baylen's brain is already completely overwhelmed by the sensory input of the crowded market, the embarrassment of the spilled drink, the emotional whiplash of crying over the kind strangers, and Julie decides to drop an anxiety nuke on her.
Hey, sweetie, glad you got a napkin for that cocoa, by the way. Your entire wedding might be a desolate, unattended geographical failure.
See, I disagree a little bit. I think Julie's just practical. Moms are practical. She sees the logistical nightmare looming. She sees Baylen upset about Sammi not traveling, and she connects the dots.
But the timing.
If Sammi won't drive 5 hours for a party, why would extended family fly across the country and take a shuttle up a mountain? Julie's just trying to save them from a bigger disaster later.
Practicality requires timing. You do not deliver a logistical thesis statement when someone is having a neurological event over spilled dairy. That is maternal sabotage at its finest. She planted a seed of pure panic in Baylen's highly anxious brain, which sets off a chain reaction of pure delusion, leading us right into the next disaster.
The pink tree and the ultimate venue betrayal.
Okay, so we are back at Baylen and Colin's apartment, and the aesthetic babes, it looks like Lisa Frank threw up all over a HomeGoods.
That is extremely accurate.
Reddit user MD28AnsMC pointed this out, and it is so true. They are in the middle of decorating a Christmas tree. But it's not a standard tasteful fir tree. It is a blindingly bright pink artificial Christmas tree.
And it is inside their bedroom.
Yes.
In the bedroom.
Because they refuse to discipline their dogs.
Let's be explicitly clear about the reasoning here, because this speaks volumes about how they manage conflict in their lives. They have to hide the holiday tree behind a closed bedroom door because their 3 dogs, Tootsie, Fluffy, and Pumpkin, will literally pee on it, aggressively knock it over, and destroy it if it is left in the living room.
I am sorry. I am a massive animal lover. But if I have to drastically rearrange major holiday traditions and hide fake foliage in my sleeping quarters because my pets are acting feral, we are having a come-to-Jesus moment with a professional dog trainer.
It's an act of total surrender. They have surrendered their home to the dogs. It's like what we talked about earlier with avoiding problems. Instead of fixing the root cause, training the dogs, they create an incredibly complex, inconvenient workaround.
But the tree itself, babes. Let's talk about the ornaments. They are not using standard glass bulbs. They have cotton candy ornaments. They have plastic donuts. They have not 1, not 2, but at least 3 separate, distinct alpaca ornaments.
Colin was begging for a shred of normalcy. He's standing there holding a string of lights, looking defeated, saying, "Can we just have some lights, just a normal tree?"
And Baylen is digging through a box, pulling out an ornament shaped exactly like a bottle of Hidden Valley Ranch dressing. And Colin asks why. And Baylen, with total sincerity, says, "Because we brought ranch to London."
That is the deep, sentimental memory, smuggling American condiments across international borders.
Which is, honestly, a massive power move. Taking ranch to Europe is peak American audacity.
Yeah.
But the aesthetic of the tree is pure visual chaos. However, the tree is just a brightly colored distraction from the real issue.
Well, the venue panic.
Because Baylen is still quietly panicking from her mom's reality check at the holiday market. Her brain has been churning, and she's holding this pink tree branch, looking at her military fiancé, who is currently just trying to survive the sheer volume of alpacas in his bedroom, and she drops the bomb.
She looks at him. They are exactly 6 months out from their wedding date. And she says, "What if we change our wedding venue?"
In Colin's face, he doesn't even get angry at first. He just freezes. His brain short-circuits. He looks at her, processes the words, and says, "What the F, Baylen?"
Which is the only correct, logical response to that question. She wants to completely forfeit their massive, non-refundable deposit.
She explains she wants to change the location to an indoor and outdoor compound that is much closer to the airport, so guests won't have to travel as far. She is literally willing to throw away thousands of dollars and months of logistical planning because she got a little decision fatigue and panic from her mother's comment at a hot chocolate stand.
It is the financial dread that makes my blood run completely cold. Do you know what wedding venues cost right now in this economy? We are talking tens of thousands of dollars. You don't just pivot a venue 6 months out unless the building literally burned to the ground.
The sheer delusion of looking at a date that is half a year away and saying, "You know what? Let's just scrap it and start over." It's giving billionaire air energy. It's giving unlimited trust fund. But they are normal people.
It's so unhinged. And it only gets worse, which leads us to the most painful scene of the entire thing, ambushing the wedding planners.
Because Baylen doesn't just mention this idea to Colin and let it die. She takes this fully baked, delusional grenade directly to Shannon and Chris, their hired wedding planners.
Oh, the planners. Shannon and Chris. The unsung, deeply traumatized heroes of this narrative. You can see the exhaustion in their eyes the minute Baylen and Colin walk into the restaurant to meet them.
They sit down, they order stiff drinks, because clearly you need a high ABV to deal with this couple. And the planners admit in their confessional interview that Baylen and Colin have done absolutely zero logistics.
6 months out, they don't have guest transportation figured out. They don't have the catering locked in. The planners are already stressed to their breaking point.
They're trying to walk them through a basic timeline. Chris is like, "Okay, guys, we have the hotel block secured. Now we need to book shuttles. We need to sort catering." And Baylen just holds up a hand, stops them mid-sentence, and says, "Yeah, about that. We want to know how you feel about a venue change."
The silence that followed that statement. The planners looked like they had been physically struck by a vehicle.
Chris blinks and says, "Most clients absolutely do not change their venue 6 months out," which is the highly professional, intensely polite industry way of saying, "Are you completely out of your minds?"
They have to politely explain reality to her. They explain that most decent venues book out a year or 2 years in advance, and Baylen's just brushing it off like, "Yeah, but I found this other place online. It's a compound. It has on-site stays. It's closer to the airport. It's perfect."
And the planners are like, "Okay, but you are going to lose your entire deposit. The money will be gone." And Baylen is just nodding slowly like, "Yeah, it is what it is."
But here's where we need to put on our tinfoil hats, Snark squad, because we are about to enter conspiracy territory. The Reddit sleuths were working overtime on this specific scene, and I am absolutely obsessed with this theory.
Yes. Shout out to Reddit user KG51113. They clocked something incredible. They noticed the exact outfits Baylen and Colin were wearing in that restaurant meeting with the planners. They then cross-referenced it with Baylen's own Instagram grid and reels and found that Baylen posted a video in that exact same outfit with the exact same hairstyle on December 10th.
Okay, so let's follow the timeline, which means this meeting was filmed in mid-December. If their wedding is supposedly in May and they are allegedly changing venues in December, that timeline is incredibly tight, almost impossibly tight for a televised wedding.
The prevailing Reddit theory is that this entire venue change was heavily produced by the network.
The theory is that they either originally had a much later date, like June or July, or that they actually knew from the very beginning they were going to book this compound venue, but TLC needed a mid-season conflict arc. So they manufactured this, "Oh no, we have to change the venue and lose the massive deposit drama to give the show stakes."
I mean, we all know reality TV isn't exactly a pure, unedited documentary. Is it peak TLC manufactured drama? User Lioness106 said the exact same thing in the thread. No way would a decent venue have a Saturday in May open 6 months out. They must have chosen a different venue from the get-go in real life, but on the show said they picked a different one for the storyline.
It makes complete logical sense from a production standpoint. If you are a field producer and your main couple has a completely smooth, normal, organized wedding planning process, what is the show? Where is the tension? You need a crisis. You need Colin looking at the camera saying, "What the F?" You need the planners looking passively suicidal over a plate of calamari.
I fully believe they either never paid that first deposit or production completely footed the bill for the first venue just for the sake of creating the plot point.
Exactly. User J. Gumby commented, TLC is probably picking up the tab. TLC is probably happy about the venue change because it means a ton of new drama to film. And honestly, good for them. Seriously. If a television network is paying for my wedding, I will change the venue every 3 weeks. I will pretend to want to get married on a nuclear submarine if it secures our season 4 renewal. Make the producers work for their paychecks.
That is a very mercenary approach, but I respect it. But manufactured or not, the panic on those planners' faces felt incredibly real. You could see them calculating their hourly rate in their heads and coming to the grim realization that they were not being paid enough to deal with this level of chaos.
Which brings us perfectly to our first official segment of the chat. Segment 1, most unhinged, but relatable moment.
Babes, there was so much pure chaos packed into this single hour, but what moment felt the most genuinely chaotic, but also weirdly like you saw yourself in it?
We have to debate the two heavy hitters here. Is it hiding a giant pink Christmas tree in your bedroom because you refuse to establish alpha dominance over your small dogs? Or is it Baylen desperately delaying her tics until a person physically walks away just to maintain societal politeness, only to inevitably scream a profanity at a man in a Santa suit?
Oh my God. See, I relate deeply to the turnkey delay. Obviously, I don't have Tourette's, so I don't experience the physical ticket itself, but I deeply relate to the social anxiety of it. That crushing feeling of holding something in, desperately trying to mask your true reaction to a situation until the person is out of earshot, and then just emotionally exploding.
Like retail masking.
Like when you're on the phone with a customer service rep who's being incredibly unhelpful, and you're smiling tightly, your voice is high-pitched, and you're saying, "Thank you so much, have a blessed day, I appreciate your help," and the exact second the phone clicks off, you are screaming obscenities into a throw pillow. That is the universal human experience of masking to survive capitalism.
That is extremely relatable, yes. But for me, the Unhinged Relatability Award goes to the bedroom Christmas tree because it represents a complete, humiliating surrender to inconvenience.
Wait,
You know how sometimes you have my minor fixable problem in your house? Like a kitchen drawer that sticks, or a light switch that doesn't work, or a dog that pees on things. And instead of fixing the root cause of the problem, you just develop an incredibly complex, inconvenient workaround that you live with for years.
yes, like walking around a specific floorboard in your hallway for 3 years because it squeaks, instead of just grabbing a hammer and nailing it down.
Exactly. They just accepted that their living room is an active biohazard zone for seasonal decor and decided to move the entire spirit of the holidays to where they sleep. It's completely unhinged behavior, but I deeply respect the path of least resistance.
I feel personally attacked by that floorboard analogy, but it's true. Okay, segment 2. What do we have lied to? We talked about lying earlier in the show. Let's look at the specific situations here. If you were invited to a remote cabin in Asheville, North Carolina with only 3 days' notice to eat squishy raw pancakes with strangers, would you fake an anxiety spiral to get out of it like Sammi did?
I wouldn't just fake an anxiety spiral. I would fake an international incident. I would tell them my identity had been compromised by a foreign syndicate and I was currently detained at an embassy.
Stop.
3 days' notice to drive 5 hours into the Appalachian woods to share one bathroom with a bunch of groomsmen attempting to cook. No, absolutely not. That is the premise of a horror movie, not a party.
We aggressively agree on this. I would literally text back, "Oh my God, babes, I am so sorry. I actually fell down a well." And then I would turn off my location sharing for the entire weekend. It's not even a question. Sammi did what she had to do to survive.
The fact that she just ignored the texts instead of inventing a complex lie actually shows her youth. A seasoned 30-something adult would have had a fake doctor's note and a digitally altered positive COVID test ready to go in the group chat.
We truly need to teach a masterclass to Gen Z on the fine art of the tactical cancellation. Which brings us to segment 3, Main Character Delusion Award. We have to break down who acted like the absolute center of the universe this week, and more importantly, do we secretly respect it?
I mean, Baylen obviously takes the crown here. The venue change ambush with the planners is elite level, tier 1 main character energy. But the itemized maid of honor list. Reading her sister a literal job description over FaceTime, that is delusion at its absolute finest.
But do we respect the audacity? Because I kind of do. There's something undeniably iconic about looking at a professional wedding planner who has worked for months, who has built a complex logistical foundation for your event, and just blinking slowly and saying, actually, let's just start over. I changed my mind. The vibe is wrong.
It's giving Succession. It's giving ruthless billionaire CEO energy.
I kind of respect it too, because as women, we are constantly, from birth, told to shrink ourselves. We are told to compromise, to not be a burden, to go with the flow, to eat the raw pancakes. And Baylen is just out here saying, my venue is inconvenient for my vision. I don't care about the sunk cost of the deposit. Scrap the whole thing.
It's terrifying to witness, but it's bold. If you're going to be a bridezilla, at least make it cinematic. Don't cry over napkins, burn the venue down.
I respect the entertainment value it provides me as a viewer, but my analytical brain is weeping for those planners' cortisol levels. But speaking of making things dramatic, let's hit segment 4, tiny problems we made dramatic.
Oh, this is a good one.
Watching this really inspired me to think about this, because we saw Colin acting like a holiday ice rink was an insurmountable, life-threatening obstacle. We saw Baylen needing time to process her mom simply pointing out a geographical fact about a mountain. It made me realize how often we spiral out of control over absolute micro-inconveniences in our own lives.
Oh, babes, I have a fresh one. This literally happened yesterday. I was working from home trying to send an email. The Wi-Fi dropped. Not for an hour, not for a day, for exactly 2 minutes. The little pixelated dinosaur game popped up on Google Chrome.
Yes, the pixelated dinosaur, a classic sign of the impending apocalypse.
I swear to you, in those 2 minutes, I went through all 5 stages of grief. I stared at the router and I out loud to an empty room said, well, I guess my career is over. I can no longer participate in the digital economy.
Over 2 minutes of no internet.
I started mentally calculating how I would survive living off the grid. I thought about moving to a farm in Vermont. I was fully convinced society was collapsing, and I needed to learn how to churn my own butter and shear sheep. Over a 2-minute internet blip. By the time the little green light came back on the router, I was emotionally exhausted from my own hypothetical agrarian future.
That is a full existential breakdown over a packet loss. But I cannot judge you because I did something remarkably similar this week. I went through the drive-thru to get a nice coffee. I ordered it with oat milk. I am very specific about this. They handed it to me. I drove away. I got to the stoplight and I took a sip. It was almond milk.
Oh, the betrayal. The absolute violation of trust.
Here's the thing. I am not allergic to almond milk. It is perfectly fine. I will digest it. But in that moment, sitting in my car at a red light, I felt so profoundly unseen by the universe. I felt like the fabric of reality was tearing.
You were grieving.
I literally thought, nothing matters. Why do we even try to communicate our desires to the world if the world is just going to hand us almond milk? It completely ruined my entire morning. I sat in silence for 20 minutes in my driveway, grieving the oat milk. It is so pathetic, but in the moment, the drama feels so visceral and real.
We are so dramatic. We are basically Baylen and Colin, just without the camera crews following us around and the alpacas in our bedrooms. We are spiraling over dairy alternatives while Colin is fighting for his life on a plastic penguin. We're all just out here trying to survive the minor inconveniences of our own messy lives.
And that is the true underlying beauty of reality TV. It holds up a mirror to our own chaotic, highly emotional, slightly delusional tendencies. It lets us judge them so we don't have to look too closely at ourselves.
It really does. Babes, what a session. From the Negroni-fueled admissions of guilt to raw pancakes, cocoa explosions, and massive venue change conspiracies, we have unpacked it all. Snark Squad, thank you so much for hanging out with us through the chaos today.
It's been an emotional roller coaster of a chat, but we wouldn't want to ride with anyone else.
Exactly. But before we let you go back to your lives, we need you to sound off in the comments. We have questions for you. Number 1, what is the absolute dumbest, most structurally unsound lie you have ever told to get out of plans? Spill the tea. We will not judge you because clearly we are incredibly guilty of this.
Number 2, are Negronis actually classy? Or are they just emotionally dangerous beverages masquerading as sophistication? Because I think we established today that they are a weapon.
Number 3, are you secretly a people pleaser? Do you suffer up front like me and carry the couch? Or do you say no and suffer the guilt for 5 business days like my co-host?
And lastly, what tiny, insignificant, microscopic inconvenience completely ruined your week? We want to hear about the wrong coffee orders, the slow Wi-Fi, the stuck zippers. Validate our drama so we don't feel crazy.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this show with your messiest bestie. Because if you're laughing at this, they need to be laughing too. Spread the snark.
And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over. Something we didn't even touch on today, but that I cannot stop thinking about since the DC holiday market scene.
Ooh, what is it? Drop the final thought.
If a reality show crew was following you right now, what is the one toxic trait your family would absolutely expose on national television while you were just trying to enjoy a festive holiday outing? Because Julie dropping that massive venue bomb on Baylen while she was literally covered in sticky hot cocoa, that is maternal sabotage at its finest. What would your family do to you for the cameras?
Oh my God. My mother would absolutely destroy me. She would bring up my middle school diary. I wouldn't survive the pilot episode. That is terrifying to think about.
Think about it, Snark Squad. Sleep with one eye open. Your family knows your secrets.
Stay messy, stay delusional, and we will see you on the snark side.